floor scrubber.
Yeah, we'll just give it a second.
Okay. So I'm going over the Finance Committee monthly budget update report. Looking over our financials, they look amazing, especially compared to last month. You can just see our cash balance just keep growing. State revenues, for our revenues, we are at 79% received. The federal revenues, 71% received. Local revenues, 56% received. Revenues by site, food service, 75% received. Community service, 21% received. Debt redemption, 14% received. Grants for 2024-2025, our Title 401 grant, we have spent $77,555.43. The remainder will be drawn in July once we complete payroll, payoffs, when the teachers are paid through the summer, July and August. We basically move it back into this fiscal year. Once everything's posted, we'll be able to make the final draw. And then our UFARs will match in payroll and finance, also with MEGS, which is the state reporting website for grants. We shouldn't have any problem spending our title funds, and if we do need to make a purchase, we can, but we look to be pretty close on spending the full $119,000. Our expenditures for the year, salaries and wages are at 61% expended. Employee benefits, 57% expended. Purchase services, 80% expended. Supplies and materials, 50% expended. Capital equipment, 13% expended. And other remaining overall, 53% expended. Expenditures by site, food service is 79% expended. Community ed, 63% expended. And debt redemption, 100% expended. Comparing our UFAR's expense revenue summary over the last 4 months, you'll see on the bottom, right now our revenue overall is at 66%, expenditures 73%. So right now our fiscal year total spending variance is a deficit of $316,674.96. So that is a change for the good of $478,011.44 just in the last 4 months. Benefit enrollment is open right now through May 30th. As of May 15th, 28 out of 72 employees completed their enrollments. I've had a lot of questions today. A few people ask if we can leave it open even longer, and usually by person we'll make that decision. But things happen, but I haven't checked yet today, but I'm sure there's a lot more completing it, so we'll just keep giving a nudge and a reminder to everyone. The Department of Education Food Service audit was attached, and I'll go over our summary of findings. I think mine just kind of got out of order. But for the first one, it said, did the SFA have the ability to accurately track revenues and expenditures and other transactions? They made a suggestion moving forward we code uniform expenses to another code. So that has been set up and that will occur. The second finding, did the SFA sell any of the following non-program food? So, let's see here. They stated that extra milk sold at the rate of 10% higher than purchases need to be sold higher. Adult meals and extra entrees will be assessed during the non-food program with the calculator. So Jill went through that process, annualized what we're selling our food at, and set a price for next year. That actually doesn't have to be done until August, so she's on the ball already correcting several of the action items with that. Number 2 was also food pricing, deadline of August 29th. They suggested that all non-program food expenses be coded under Finance 707. We've never actually had to split out food just because this is new. So now that the state pays for all meals, basically free meals for all students, now they want us to just break out the expenditure for just the food. So in the past, we've always, so revenue for Head Start, like, oh, they paid us, let's just say $5,000 this year. I need to set aside $5,000 out of our food so the state can see that was vended meals just for Head Start. So now they're saying that in the future we need to do that for anyone else that comes and purchases a meal, just because now we have the state free meal program. So that's new. So I'll take care of that year end. There's no point in trying to split food expenses during the year. That's pretty much impossible. So it's just whoever buys a meal, I'll just take all the revenue at the end of the year and just set aside that expenditure where they want it.
Question on that.
Yeah.
The nutrition court to the Bears Den, where does that food come into? Is that part of this audit, or?
Yes. So that is actually done, thankfully, because they didn't like the way it was ran through, which it was actually, when I came in, that's how it was ran. The other school I was at did it totally different. It was set up totally separate. So what they said was we would track all food purchases by invoice, and that went great. Jackie would go through and mark, like, this is Bears Den, so we would know to code it to the Bears Den.
Okay.
But their concern was that salaries and wages should have been paid out of Fund 1 instead of Fund 2, even though we had a special code in Fund 2. So their opinion was it should have been ran through a different area, but I felt our accounting was still good. It's how it was when I came in, but we were still accurately recording like salaries for the Bears Den, separate
You can
from.
still track it the way you're doing.
Yes. But now, this year, we don't have it anymore. If it for some reason came back, we would definitely make a change and do it outside of Fund 2. So, but that was the one thing they had indicated, was the Bears Den being run through Fund 2.
Bears Den is the outside vendors running it now.
Okay.
So there is certain activities and stuff, but it's an outside vendor, so it's separate from this one.
Can the students during the lunch hour access Bears Den?
No. Has to be.
Some schools have that, but they don't.
Yeah. Back in the day, we used to.
Mm-hmm.
But that was like an a la carte, so the school, it was still run through the school, if I remember right. But I'm not sure how an outside vendor would work. 'Cause you
That
still
would
have
make
to
it
meet all
really
the
tough to
nutritional
track,
guidelines.
like, predict meals and stuff and who's gonna eat. Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. Go ahead. Let's see here, what else they put. Yeah, they just list different options on keeping the Bears Den separate, including inventory, purchasing food and supplies, preparing food and staffing. All revenues are directed with Fund 2. No revenue is shared with other organizations or student groups. Wow. They're saying we can't do that because it's Fund 2, but if we had it in a different fund, we could split with student groups, and it's not a problem. But I did indicate we no longer do it, so they just indicate that we have we didn't have to respond on those. It was more so a direction on in the future. How did the SFA handle uncollected meal debt? If any unpaid meal charges were considered delinquent, we need to reclassify the bad debt and provide documentation for it. So basically, providing support for a write-off of debt within the year. That's usually done at year end. We do have it, we do get donations too that usually covers that. So, let's see here. Did the SFA use food service funds to pay for labor such as paras, custodial wages, services, administration? We are able to code different people to Fund 2, especially if you have a positive balance 3 years in a row or more. So now we have that, so I'm able to code different custodial staff for cleaning, if there's paras that we're helping. So I just basically use the square footage method. So even I take the square footage of the school and I calculate all of our utilities paid and I divide it by square foot. So I'm able to charge back utilities to the lunchroom and then basically custodial salaries and benefits and different things. So we do that each year, but they stated that in that year we charged too much. So basically we had Jill, Diane, and Harley. We had staff working in food service. Jill was training, Harley was still helping, so we just had some crossover. They said we coded a little too much for salaries to food service. So we had to make a journal entry to move $3,073.83 to Fund 1. That's actually pretty minor. I mean, they actually would have been coded to Fund 1 in the first place. So I completed that JE, and we have a fund balance in Fund 2, which is good, but it's not going to change the outcome in any way. So this was all completed, sent in, and we got a final email clearing us that we were good to go. So Jill, Jackie did a great job. So it's a long process, kind of like the financial audit. It just takes a long time. So what else do I have? So the fiscal year 26 budget needs to be approved at the next board meeting. So we have some minor adjustments that need to be made since we last presented it initially, just to see where we would be at. But I thought it would be nice to have a work session if the board wanted to meet and look at it, review, make some adjustments, or indicate, what changes we see happening for next year. So, yeah. So if we could do that in June. I'm gone the week of June 2nd, but I'm wide open after that. And I can come any day, too. Okay.
On the 18th and 24th.
I'm not looking at it.
It's when the next regular meeting is.
Okay.
You said the first week in June you're gone?
Yep.
As long as the rest aren't at the same time.
First 3 weeks.
June 9th and 10th would be ideal for myself. How's your schedule looking? Is it
It's pretty open.
okay?
You juggle things around. I am out of town Saturday, Sunday, the 10th would work a little bit better than the 9th. The 9th I can make work in the afternoons.
How does the 10th work for everyone here?
Works for me, except 3.
Oh, that's fine.
What time do you wanna?
Jerem, how you're looking on the 10th? You good? You good?
Okay.
Evening, during the day,
Oh, I think
after work hours.
5.
Yeah, I've been taking it a little bit earlier, but it's
up to you.
small.
Okay.
5 works for me.
Okay.
June 10th. Put
Would you
that
rather
in
have
now.
earlier?
Excuse me.
It doesn't matter.
Oh,
I asked for you guys to be meeting that night is, pre-K parent meeting.
We can,
We can do whatever.
yeah,
district office.
that's what I was thinking, district office.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we can have this from stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. That's good.
We'll post it open to the public, but we won't be able to zoom in that office, but it will be open to the public, so.
June 10th,
5 p.m.
But,
and I won't be in attendance until here.
Understood.
What is it?
It's the preschool parent meeting for next year.
any more questions on the finance report? Okay.
Thank you.
Board committees. Any met?
Yeah. We have, right?
Yes, we did have a meeting for, yes.
Nothing else real important. We met for, met shortage of subs was main topic there, right? I don't really have a solution for it.
Has anybody gotten any, I mean, as far as looking at next year, are the current subs still planning coming back? Do we know that yet? Or have you heard anything have any,
No one stomped out of the building saying I'm never coming back again, so
Okay.
that's a good sign. I'm anticipating most of them come back. You just never know.
Is it paid issue or is it just everything?
Well, our rate's 165. I think it's in line with most of the area districts. We bumped it up a couple years ago. Just people are getting older. Most of our teaching subs are retired teachers.
Yeah.
It becomes a point where
American help, if I'm not saying it correctly, but there was, sounds like with the application process itself, being, is it strictly online for some
for some.
applications?
they can request a paper copy.
It just sounded like maybe some have maybe been lost in the shuffle in the past,
Okay.
or there isn't one person that is responsible for it. Sounds like there's a couple of you guys between me and
Yeah.
Well, and that's where it's hit and miss,
So-
yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but my preference would be paper because then we have it, we know where it is.
I'm just trying to recall.
Frustrating sometimes. I don't think pay is the issue. I mean, I think they're offering a fair wage. Like Jeff said, many of our subs are retired teachers, and I don't blame them one bit when they don't want to work on a Friday or, you know, they can pick and choose their days. And especially this spring with so much with sports and rescheduling, our kids have been out of the building during the day more than typical. So that's difficult to get covered.
And I don't know if that was actually, if there was if anyone could put their finger on an actual case where an application got lost in the shuffle, so it was overlooked and not, I'm not saying that happened.
No,
just
it might have
sounded like that
been
was a
delayed
concern.
getting them on the sub list, but I don't think we've lost anyone.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
don't-
just processing it because we have multiple fingers
That
in
was the
there.
concern.
Yep. that's something to,
Is there typically, is Friday typically a day where we're in more need of subs than others? I mean, is that fair to say, just generalizing overall? But yeah, Fridays when we're,
Oftentimes, yes.
so.
days before
I mean,
holidays.
this could be a completely different topic, but I agree, you know, I think the pay, just on its face, is pretty competitive. I haven't heard anybody speak up and share differently. But if we can maybe look into this a little bit more, so we're not shorthanded regarding the subs, if we're having difficulties on a specific day like Fridays, maybe, is it unreasonable to pay a sub an additional amount on a Friday? Is that a higher paying?
I really
Is
don't know
that-
that would matter.
Okay,
I mean, if they have plans and they like to do things, I certainly understand that and respect it. And a couple of our subs, probably a week or so ago, said to Tracy, don't call me the remainder of the school year because there's so many other things going on. So I
Yep.
think it's like.
We're not the only
I would
district.
just like to see the list increase with getting more people on it.
Jeff was gone during that meeting. Mary was present, and we discussed briefly going forward, just the hierarchy of positions to possibly to do both superintendent and Mary, just for a lot of concerns brought forward or potentially brought forward from staff. And you haven't heard in the past.
I don't know.
Oh,
I'm
as
not
far as the
following you.
meeting confer,
Yeah, to have Mary invited to the meetings essentially with the superintendent, or just sounded like that. It worked well last time having her present.
that'd be a good thing to talk to Mr. Fitzsimmons.
right now, Ms. Merchant, is it part of that? Well,
I haven't been, that was the first meeting.
Correct.
oh, okay,
And
okay,
I
that's where I'm
really
getting
appreciate
confused.
the
Okay.
It's generally, and I've only been to 3 of them, but generally when our Senate, it's just with the superintendent, Jeff.
And 2 board members and,
Correct, but going forward, there was some discussion about including the principal as well.
And that's something you would feel value in?
Yes, I thought it was a very good conversation with teacher, me, and board members at the table all at the same time.
Well, one of the things we basically talked about was something that we had taken care of. And Mary knew nothing about it, or if she had known, she could have just taken care of it. So we talked about the hierarchy of, so they're supposed to go to her first and then to, you know, the meeting first, like the last stop. So having her there to be able to hear some of these things and be like, I've heard that before. Let's dig into that a little bit more or something like that. So there's just some good things that came out of that. Just the, you know, the teachers have the board's ear. That's what it's for. We want to hear from teachers. So
And we just didn't see a reason to not direct this. That's what she wants.
so. Mr. Nelson said, talk to.
Yeah. So, and we can wait until he's on board to do that, but otherwise, would that need
So it has to be voted on.
we'd have to vote on that, I assume, to add her as not as a committee member from the board, right? We could just have her just showing
You
up,
can just show up.
so.
So another, school forest, we were both gone, but did some emailing back and forth. A school survey for the forest went out with questions. Some of the data that we want from that is required for an annual report to the state. It includes things like, what are you using it for? What can you use it for? You have a hard time getting kids out there, you know, just different questions throughout all the different things. We went out, planted more trees, which is great. And the list of some summer projects that we'll probably continue to start showing up. Like pond maintenance out there,
Staying in the shed.
staying in the shed. I think that, you know, you let the pond go and then all of a sudden it's all grown over and it's not what we need it for, so getting all that done is be good. I don't know if you have anything more to that.
No, I was. Yeah, I can figure it out myself later, but I was confused in some of the survey. It seemed to be really directed towards teachers.
I think it is because the annual report that we have to send is how we are using it as a school, and the teachers are the ones using it.
And then I got the email, but I don't think all the teachers were on there, so I'll have to talk to Bobby Joe on that. I'll figure it out. Yeah, no, it's just a
Well,
question.
I think I might have insight on that, but
Okay.
this isn't the time for it.
Okay. Fair enough. No, I don't think there's anything else to add on it. As far as the meeting that we didn't have one, and we just, there was, Bobby
Yeah.
Joe kind of reached out with some of the main concerns through the email.
And the big bog trip was a
Oh,
success.
yes. That was good.
Hot tag.
Yeah, hot.
And then cold,
Pardon?
right, is that accurate?
One day hot, one day cold, it's wonderful for everybody.
Yep.
Variety.
One extreme to the next.
Is there a safety meeting on Wednesday?
There is, it's even in Penrose.
Okay.
3:45.
I will not be there. I'm
Okay.
out of town for work. I just realized.
I was just gonna send out a reminder tonight too.
Yep. Do we have any other committees scheduled coming up? That I can refresh my memory because I don't have any in my calendar.
We're having a special budget meeting
Okay.
on June 10th. I'm
That's-
not
that-
sure, health and
just like
safety,
the-
you're on the health and safety committee. On
That's you,
Wednesday.
Robin.
When is that?
It's Wednesday at 3:45 in the district
I
office.
don't have that in
I think it was the total while ago.
It would have been like a month ago or more, a long time ago. I sent out a calendar invite.
here. You said what time was it?
3:45.
Okay.
And we have 3 of those a year, so this is our spring meeting, and usually they're not that long.
Right, was a pretty good review.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know how to fight, so.
Okay. So we'll move into the superintendent report.
Okay. Good evening. Excuse me. Good evening. So our enrollment as of May 1st, we're at 422, which is kind of where we've been most of the year, up and down, 1 or 2 kids. Elementary's at 196, and the senior high, junior high is at 226. I've sent out some information, and tonight the board will be taking action on review and comment. So we'll be calling for a November 4th, 2025 election. What we're looking at after our last special meeting is a 1 ballot question that will have the capital projects levy to raise approximately $400,000 for taxes payable 2026, the first year. It is to be levied and would be authorized for 10 years. The question will ask for is authorized issuance of up to $5 million in his school building bonds for the acquisition and betterment of school sites and facilities. So it'll be one question, but both of those figures will be stated individually in there. I just got an email from Ellers, and we're fine-tuning some of the capital projects levy, so they've already started to gather that information and start the review and comment process. So tonight, basically, you're saying to move forward with the review and comment, and it's just a simple action, it's not a referendum. Any questions on that? Okay. Okay. Staffing update. I need to clarify, last month we talked about a paraprofessional added for a student with health needs, and I thought it was adding a position. Ms. Merchant said, no, we had terminated one position earlier that had not been filled, so we're actually, the salary's a little bit less than what that other person is making, so it's not a new position or adding to our expenses, so just wanted to clarify that. So we have 2 resignations with our custodial staff on the agenda to approve tonight. With that coming in, I'll be sending out some information, but I would recommend when the new superintendent's on site that you start looking at how you want to do your lead custodial or supervisor for buildings and grounds before we do anything with filling those positions. So I'll gather some more information, and I'll be talking to Scott and filling him in on this so that he's part of that moving forward. But I'm thinking by end of June, right away, beginning of July, you're going to want to figure out what position you're going to advertise. Any questions on that?
The resignations, is that pending at the end of June here?
One is the end of May. Mr. Kendall will be done at the end of May, and he did put in his letter that he would like to be considered for doing some Saturday work, which I will address Saturdays in a minute too. And William Moeller was the other one, and he would like to do his through August, I think. I can't remember what the exact date in the letter was. He's going to continue on through the summer, and he does all the carpet vacuuming and stuff throughout the whole building. So he's going to stay on and finish that up. Any other questions? William will, right now he'll stay on. He'll have a full AM and PM route. Yeah. Speaking of closing the building, on weekends during the summer months, we don't have enough lifeguards on Saturdays, and right now the only thing that was keeping us open on Saturdays was for open swim. So Lisa has a different schedule, so I'm recommending tonight, and it doesn't, I can go ahead and do it unless you say don't do it. So, but I'm recommending that we close the building at least throughout the summer on Saturdays and Sundays. It's a cost savings for the district. Special arrangements can still be made through the facility use process with Sam. So if a group wants to do something on a Saturday, they still have to go through the facility use process, and we determine if we can make it work, if we can get a custodian to come in or be on call. So it's not like nothing's going to happen. They just need to go through the process to make it happen. Moving on with summer hours, and we're kind of going off of what we did last year. Monday through Friday, summer hours will be 8 to 4, open to the public, closed on Saturday and Sunday, and we lock down the building tight at 9 p.m. every night. And I think during the school year it might be 10 o'clock, but those are the hours we're going to post unless someone has an objection to it. Negotiations update. We have requests and intentions to negotiate that have been received from Education Minnesota, MSEA, AFSCME, Miss Merchant, and the school nurse. So this is my alert that the negotiations are coming up quickly. The legislature is not completely settled. They're going to be going into special session. So even with that said, it might not hurt to start meeting and organizing things to start some of the language process. But we have a fair idea of what education funding is going to look like. And I'm going to talk more in depth during our negotiation strategy. But for the 25-26 school year, we're looking at 2.74% on the general formula.
What was it again? I'm sorry,
2.74. It's about $200 added to the formula. So, and that's a little bit over $84,000 in revenue to the district. And that's just on the people formula. 2026-27, it looks like right now, with the initial agreement with the governor and the legislature, boy, I'm having a hard time talking tonight. Congress at the state level, they're looking at holding spending for education at 0% for 26-27 school year. And then the 27-28, we're looking at cutting about $420 million from the state education revenue. And those are all things that we want to keep in mind when we start negotiating. So we will be closing tonight for negotiation strategy discussions. I don't anticipate it being a long meeting, just kind of an initial meeting to go over some of these finances, kind of what we're looking at with budgeting figures, and then to gather questions or things that, information you need before you start sitting down at the table. Any questions on that? New superintendent communications. I've talked to Scott Fitzsimmons several times on the phone and communicated in email. We have him registered for the Lake of the Woods Admin Forum, and that's on June 4th through the 6th. And I'm guessing that's probably our initial time to sit down face-to-face. I've also have him registered for the finance workshop. That's in July, and that's through the Northwest Service Co-op. Bruce Jetson has done that for many years. Robin attended that. It's very informative, and I've been through it like 4 or 5 times, so I highly recommended it to him. And he knows Bruce from way back somewhere, so he plans on attending that and looks forward to that. And he is appreciative that the board would support him attending these events, so he is very appreciative of that. So, and we'll keep you posted on our progress too. My schedule is listed at the bottom of my report. The June dates that I'm gone, there's some flexibility. There's a few that I've put on there for sure that I will be out of the area. And then reminder, Health and Safety Committee meets Wednesday at 3:45 in the district office. And that's all I have. I guess the other thing, since Jill's not here, if it's okay, I can continue on. Her recommendation for the meal, it's what she's recommending in the food service, is just the pre-K 12 non-program breakfast from $3 to $3.60, and the pre-K 5 non-program lunch from $5 to $5.40. And one reason we're pushing that now is with Bright Beginnings. I did get, Nicole Gate did sign the contract, and it's a 9-month contract. We have one other daycare that they close in the summer, and that's kind of what she plans on doing. So it's the contract that you approved, who knows, March, whenever. It's a 1-year contract, so it's through.
Did you say 1 year or 9 months? I'm sorry.
They're paying all year round though, right?
No, they don't pay the summer months. They close down the room and stuff. So, but that contract ends at the end of next school year, and then you can continue with that contract, renegotiate it, increase it, require that they pay on the 9-month stuff, so.
It ran the same June 30th to July 1st.
July 1st through the end of June. But we have one daycare, and then Right Beginnings won't be opening their doors until August.
I don't have the contract from refresh my memory if you can. If it's a 1-year contract, which is going to be open for 9 months, correct? Is she paying rent just for the 9 months?
Just the 9 months, not for the whole year, and it's for 1 year. And my rationale for going that route is we already have it for one daycare, and if you're going to do something different, because if you have someone that comes in and wants the rent for 12 months, obviously the district wants to be able to move in that direction.
Do we have any feel yet as far as occupancy and how many have committed on her end, or do we not know?
No. And Sam can't make it tonight because of the track meet, so she'll have some numbers and stuff with our program for our school readiness VPK in June, at our June meeting. Yep. Any other questions on anything? Okay.
I guess Mary's up.
Good evening, everybody. I don't think you could help but notice the wonderful mental health display that's in our entrance when you come in. So that is from the Hunter J. Nordloff Be Kind Foundation, and where Jennifer found the time, she made bags for every single student and our teachers and paras with different tips on things for mental health, and then just some fun things like some pens and stickers and things. So all the kids went home with the bag. They were pretty excited about that, and I'm grateful that we have that relationship with them, that it's not just a one and done thing. It's something we do a few times throughout the year with them. Summer school, we're getting applications in. Elementary summer camp, of course, always has a huge crowd. High school credit recovery, they're coming in a little slower, but I'm hoping part of that is because kids are kicking it in gear these last couple weeks and are going to put that extra effort in to get those grades passing. But nonetheless, we have staff ready to be doing credit recovery with grades 6 through 12. And we finished course completion for the junior high and senior high school kids. Busy with field trips and games and rescheduling games going on, but it has been all good and wonderful. Elementary had some terrific field trips last week. Our 5th graders who went to the Indian Mounds in Barwick came back with lots of wonderful things to say, and being that we already know we are going to have the American Indian Ed Funds next year, it was recommended that if we can, we take other kids to the mounds also, because they said it would be good for older kids, younger kids. So I think this is something, since it's 40 minutes away, that's literally in our backyard for our kids to get to a field trip. That's so worthwhile, that close. This morning, fun, great activity recognizing our high school students, their academic achievements, their athletic achievements, their fine art achievements. And one of the nice things doing it during the school day, I did notice we did have some parents who came, but that our younger students can see the importance of things like honor society and what it takes to do that, and our students who are 3-sport athletes and the dedication that takes to do that and also continue to maintain good grades. So just a very, very good morning for our high school kids. And then with the ending of the school year, we have some PBS recognitions we'll do. Elementary is going to have bingo on Thursday, and then on Friday, big event in the auditorium for them with some fun activities. Last year when I got in there, they had these huge beach balls. In fact, I told them to buy some more because we didn't have enough, in my opinion, to really bump, toss them around like volleyballs. And then the elementary teachers have done some fun videos that they'll be playing, and then we'll do the quarterly recognition for our elementary kids. And then high school ends the week with PBIS recognitions in the gym, and then kickball and ice cream treats, and then of course the grand finale is graduation that evening. So that is all I have.
For graduation,
All set?
are we all set? Is the
Well, we will be.
projector gonna work? Is the stage not gonna collapse?
The stage is not going to collapse. Kyle will let no one touch it but him from now on. In fact, Kyle and I visited. He'll be setting up tomorrow for that. And we have now purchased a screen, so we will have the screen. We're still renting a projector, but it will be good to go, because with what Mr. Sather rented last year, we found out, yep, it's worth going that route, so you have something high quality and reliable. So
Good to hear.
we're good. Any other questions?
It's busy.
It is, but it's all good.
What time, so
For you guys,
right before
1:45, yeah, 5:45 is plenty. And we'll have reserved seats for you, so we'll be good.
5:55, it'd still be fine.
I do start on time, though. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Covered that. That's everything, right? Misnote anything? Well, we'll adjourn the working session and reconvene at 7 PM.
7 o'clock, we'll call the board meeting to order.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, need a motion, I need a motion and a second to approve the May 19th, 2025 meeting agenda. Motion by Hack.
Hayes.
Second by Hayes. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Board presenters? Probably not. Printing communications? Nope. New business? Need a motion and a second to approve the April 28th, 2025 regular board meeting minutes and the special board meeting minutes of May 8th, 2025.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Severs. Second by Sonstegard. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve the invoices, financial statements, bank reconciliation, wire transfers, and purchase card statement.
Motion by Hack.
Motion by Hack.
Second.
Second by Hayes. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need approval of personnel appointments and resignations. Need a motion and a second to approve the resignation and appointments as presented. Appointments are Tina Lorette, 4th grade teacher. Resignations, Dave Kendall, custodian. Willie Moeller, custodian. Motion by Sonstegard.
I'll second.
Second by Severs. Any discussion? Say thanks, Dave and William.
Yes.
And welcome aboard, Tina. I don't know, is she brand new?
She's
Or just moving?
done a lot of subbing.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to authorize the superintendent to have documents prepared for calling a November 4th, 2025 election that will include one ballot question. The question will ask voters to authorize a capital project levy to raise approximately $400,000 for taxes payable in 2020 or payable 2026. The first year it is to be levied and would be authorized for 10 years. The question will also ask voters to authorize the issuance of up to $5 million in school building bonds for acquisition and betterment of school sites and facilities. The board also authorizes the superintendent to submit all required information to the Commissioner of Education to request review and comment for the proposed referendum.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Sonstegard,
Second.
second by Severs.
Severs.
Severs?
Yep.
We got a trend going here, so we're going. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion and a second to award the milk bid for the 2025-2026 school year.
Motion by Hack.
Motion by Hack,
Hayes.
second by Hayes. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve the increase in non-program food service pricing.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Severs. Second by Sonstegard. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to close the meeting as authorized by Minnesota discussion?
Just to clarify, this is for,
Negotiation.
right, but which one,
Strategy.
because there's the two. I just want to make sure, for the record, that I can't be part, so.
It'll
It's
be on
just-
general.
Yeah, it'll be vague.
Contract.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing specific.
Okay.
It's a little wide, kind of.
Okay. I just wanted to articulate, because I'm on the one without the teacher, so I just.
Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.